All right, there's lots of major crypto airdrop updates that you need to know about today, so let's not waste any time and hop right in, starting with Parcel. So yesterday, Parcel officially announced the launch of their token, along with a little bit of information on the tokenomics. So the ticker symbol is going to be PRCL. There's going to be a total token supply of 1 billion tokens, and they're dropping 7 to 8% to the community, which is a pretty decent amount. Now this, if you have no idea, is a platform or an app on Solana where you can trade real estate markets. And back in December, over 2 months ago, I did a full tutorial on how you can trade using Parcel and qualify for this airdrop. And it looks like the token is going to be actually launching in April. So if you have not yet started farming this airdrop, technically there is still time. However, I would recommend A, getting in as soon as possible, and B, maximize your points by taking advantage of the best strategies to trade on the platform. So if you provide liquidity, you can earn 4 points per dollar per day. But if you trade with leverage, you can earn 2 points per dollar per day multiplied by the amount of leverage that you use. So if you trade on, for example, 5x leverage, then you get 10 points per dollar per day. And one thing that we've been discussing in my Patreon private Discord is that if you can open up a relatively delta neutral trade, you can't go long and short the same real estate market anymore. So for example, you can't go long and short on New York on 10x leverage and then get max points that way. However, you could long Brooklyn and short New York or vice versa, and theoretically that should be relatively delta neutral, and by using leverage, that's how you can get way more points than by providing liquidity. But one thing that is important to say is that obviously everyone on Twitter and on YouTube everywhere is talking about Parcel now, and in literally just a day there was a 12% increase in TVL on the platform, so almost 10 million new dollars were added. And so I do think that it will be more difficult to rank up the leaderboard now. However, if you use the right strategy, or if you have a lot of capital obviously, then it is technically still possible. And in terms of how much this airdrop will be worth, obviously nobody really knows, and it's pure moon math at this point. This guy had a pretty interesting take with different scenarios based on what the market cap of the Parcel protocol is going to be post-launch. And really what it boils down to is the point system going to be linear, or is it going to be tier-based like Jito? However, regardless, there's pretty good consensus that if you can rank in the top 10% or 20% of wallets, then this airdrop is probably going to be a pretty lucrative one because the platform does have a decent amount of funding and it's a great narrative. The RWA, or real world asset narrative, is going to be a big one for 2024 and beyond. So personally, yes, I do like Parcel. It's one of my favorite airdrop targets within the Solana ecosystem. But of course, now it is becoming a little bit more saturated since the token is announced and everybody's talking about it. Now, speaking of the airdrop being somewhat saturated, I wanted to talk about this right here. So this is a tweet from OX or Ox Tochi talking about the difference between point systems based on ref links and point systems based on volume. Now, I fully agree with this, that point systems with referral links favors influencers, people like myself, people on Twitter, whatever, versus point systems based solely on volume will favor people that have huge amounts of capital. Now, I'm not sure if I agree that there is no fair points-based system at all. And for example, with the Jito airdrop, they kind of had a secret points-based system where they only announced afterwards what the categories were and how many points you got, and so people weren't actually able to take advantage of it in advance. And then there's also sort of the Arbitrum points-based system where it's not actually collecting points and then converting that into an airdrop, but rather a set of multiple criteria that you hit, and you need to hit at least a minimum of them in order to qualify, and then if you have more of them, then you get a larger allocation. But let's talk a little bit about this right here, because I do think it's important, and I don't want to just gloss over this. I have to acknowledge the fact that despite the fact that I have a YouTube channel with lots of subscribers, and obviously I benefit from ref links, I want to make sure that you guys still understand what the best opportunities are for you, not just the best opportunities for me because you click on my links. So with Parcel, yes, I do have a ref link. However, if we're talking about the best airdrop target within the Solana ecosystem right now that doesn't favor influencers, I think I have to say that it's got to be Camino. And the reason for that is that they don't actually have a referral link system on right now. So people like me have to do it the honest way. Now, about a week ago, I realized that I was kind of neglecting Camino and I wasn't maximizing my points. So recently I actually kind of rejigged my deposits and tried to get a better points boost. So now I'm up to 2.9x, which is not even close to the max that you can get. However, I will say that with about $1,000 deposited in this public wallet right here, I was able to increase my ranking by about 15,000 positions in the last 6 or 7 days just by rejigging this a little bit. And so it's definitely still possible to rank up in the Camino points system. Influencers can't take advantage of it because they haven't enabled any referrals yet. Of course, it does favor whales, and you'll never be able to catch up to these people that are able to collect billions of points based on their borrowing and lending activity. However, within the broader Solana ecosystem, with a reasonable amount of money, $1,000 in this case, you can actually do pretty well. And if you take advantage of the max points boost, you can click on this right here to see rates and boosts, and you can see that you can get 5x points boost by depositing Solana actually, or a couple of these other different assets. And you can also use their multiply feature with liquid stake tokens to get a solid points boost as well. Well, then this, I think, is a great target within the Solana ecosystem because it doesn't currently favor influencers like myself. Ooh. Realistically, you're never going to get around the fact that people with millions of dollars, though, are going to win this type of airdrop campaign. But if we're moving to the Ethereum ecosystem, I think one of the fairest, although most annoying airdrop campaigns is actually Linea when you think about it, because they drop Linea experience points for completing these different tasks, some of which are actually super annoying to complete. So actually, I haven't even found the time yet to go and finish these 3 games right here. But the way that Linea has structured their airdrop campaign by providing LXP to people that complete specific tasks, and they had an Interact campaign on last year, now they have this campaign on layer 3, while I continually gripe and complain about it, and it is super, super annoying for you or for the average person, this is actually one of the more fair layer 2 airdrops that you can qualify for. Blast, on the other hand, is all about ref links and getting lots of people to sign up with your link. Mode is kind of a mixture. I actually have seen many people that have ranked up quite nicely with a smaller amount of capital, not based on ref links, but Mode does have ref links as well. But Linea doesn't. Well, they do, but I don't think that it's going to actually convert that much to actual LXP. And so if we're talking about within the Ethereum ecosystem and the best L2 airdrop that is sort of fair and open to everyone, despite the fact that it's annoying, I do think that Linea actually is one of the better targets. And with things like ZK Sync and Scroll, we don't 100% know what the criteria are going to be. There's a lot of speculation, but those airdrops might favor people with larger amounts of capital, whereas for Linea and completing all of these games to collect this LXP, you don't actually need a huge amount of capital for it. So it's not really whale-centric, it's not influencer-centric, and it doesn't favor rich people. Anyways, that is my take on what are maybe the best airdrop targets or the most fair airdrop targets within Solana versus Ethereum right now, at least major big ticket ones. Now let's talk a little bit about this re-staking. So Zirkit came out just a couple of days ago, and you can actually deposit your liquid restaked tokens, and they're re-staking them. I am not doing this right now, to be honest. I feel like I've already layered on so many levels of smart contract and liquidation risk in all of these different things that I'm doing, and I feel like, at least for now, this is just one step too far for me personally. Obviously, a lot of people are going full degen because they've already deposited over $200 million into Zirkit. But at this point, it would be crazy for me not to talk about it at all because it's possible that they are going to have their own airdrop and their own token. Of course, also, there's actually not that many people using it right now, so a lot of that TVL is coming from a few whales, it looks like. And they are backed by some of the biggest names in crypto VC. So if you want to take your staked ETH or restaked ETH to the maximum level of degeneracy and re-restake it with Zirkit, it is potentially a lucrative opportunity. However, you're layering on risks on risks on risks, and I cannot stress enough that you definitely need to do your own research on this. Next up, speaking of risks, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Blast L2. And this actually is an airdrop that I have not deposited any funds into. I've interacted with their testnet and done a bunch of testnet stuff, but when it comes to the actual Blast mainnet, I haven't done anything, because really what you do is deposit your ETH into a multi-sig wallet and then hope that when the mainnet actually launches, it goes off without a hitch. But actually just yesterday, one of the teams building on Blast rugged 500 ETH. And I just wanted to highlight this because, not that I'm saying that Blast itself is a rug, but there's risks associated with all of this. And so if you are farming airdrops, I don't think you should ever put all of your capital into one single protocol, or you shouldn't even actually be farming airdrops with all of your capital, because there's risks in everything that we do. Now, I like to think that the airdrops that I focus on this channel, especially the ones that I actually recommend people do, are projects that are legit and that are not going to rug. But honestly, you never know. It doesn't even have to be a malicious intent. like this was, there could be just a bug in the protocol in the smart contract, something happens, and then the money is gone. And I think it's irresponsible to constantly talk about farming airdrops, but not at least highlight the fact that there is a risk in all of this. And if you just follow along with videos like mine or threads on Twitter and you just go step by step and ape money into every single thing that you see, at some point I can practically guarantee that something is gonna rug. Anyways, moving on to a more positive topic, let's talk about dimension staking to get airdrops. So last week, there was a lot of noise about whether or not Avail is actually going to drop a token to dime stakers. No one actually knows at this point. A mod in the Avail Discord said that it was not happening. But we don't have confirmation either way. Regardless though, I do think that dimension stakers are going to eat at some point in the near future. And this chart right here from Cosmos Everything is actually great because it shows a breakdown of some of the main tokens within the Cosmos ecosystem and how many of them you need to be staking to be in the top percentile. So it looks like if you stake over 201.5 dimension tokens, you're in the top 10%. But even if you stake 101 tokens, you're already in the top 25%, which is pretty solid. Now, obviously this is just a snapshot in time. And in order to see the data behind this, you need to pull it yourself from MintScan, which isn't super easy. But even just looking at this right now, because it's relatively recent, is quite useful and gives you a frame of reference for how many tokens you should be staking within each ecosystem to be in the top 20, 30%. And I think that should be a reasonable target. So for TIA, if you stake over 47 tokens, you're in the top 30%. If you stake just 20.1, you're in the top 60%. So less safe in that regard. And with dimension tokens, if you stake 50 tokens or more, you're in the top 60. But like I said, you get over 101 and you're already boosted up to the top 25th percent. And speaking of dimension stakers, there's another governance proposal on. So I recommend that if you are staking, either you go to the actual Dimension governance app here, if you're staking with a MetaMask wallet or an EVM wallet. And if you're staking with Kepler or Leap, you can just vote directly in your wallet. And then finally, on the topic of dimension airdrops, we don't know if we're going to be getting Avail, but it looks like there might be an announcement coming soon from the NIM network. Now, honestly, I have no idea what this is or whether or not the token is going to be valuable. But like we have said multiple times, there's over 10,000 different apps or roll apps building on Dimension. And so even if just a small handful of those airdrop and then a small handful of that small handful ends up actually being lucrative, staking Dimension tokens will still be worthwhile. And then the final thing that I wanted to mention today is that Orderly and WooFi Pro have a couple of Galaxy quests that you can complete. So if you've traded on their platform, you can mint these NFTs based on the amount of trading volume you've done on the platform. So if you have ever used this app, it's retroactive, so just go and check if you're eligible. Of course, you can trade now and still qualify, but they also reward OGs. So any volume accumulated since the launch of WooFi Pro will still count for this. So that's it for today's airdrop alpha. Hopefully you found this useful, despite the fact that I went on a little bit of a rant, but I'll be back again with more, and stay tuned for additional in-depth tutorials, including how to make sure that you don't get weeded out from airdrops as a Sybil wallet, because that is coming soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day.